Hello all. Back in the 1970s, Monsanto introduced a chemical that literally is harming all of humanity. Let's go to the board and I'll show you what I mean. So Monsanto introduced this new chemical to kill weeds, grasses, and other things that compete with commercial crops. They called it Roundup Ready. The chemical that people are trying to get rid of is glyphosates. This is used by farmers to spray on their land to kill the weeds. So far, in 2012, the last study of this, farmers had sprayed 280 million pounds of this stuff on their fields. We'll look at a map later. That is a pound of poison for every person for that year was put on their food crops. The use of glyphosates has increased by 16-fold, yet 90% of the people interviewed said that they want to know what's in their food. They want food labeling. So let's look at a map and see just how contaminated the U.S. is, for example. So this is just the U.S., but probably most agricultural areas on the planet look like this. The red is the intense pollution and the orange is a little less. Now really most of the U.S. has a orange hue of some sort, light to yellow kind of thing. But the heavy areas are California, Washington, Oregon, and all through the Great Lakes down all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, Florida, and the East Coast. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't paying attention and are buying Roundup Ready, or Roundup weed killer, which is how it's getting sprayed all over the place in the rural and the housing developments. People are spraying so much of this stuff on so that they don't have a single weed in their yard. This is causing a great deal of health problems throughout the people in these areas, including farmers and farm help workers, that type of thing. What can we do about it? Well, that's an easy one. Just don't buy any weed killer. If you don't like a weed where it is, just dig it out, cut it off, dry it out, put black plastic over the top of it. There's so many alternatives to weed killer, and you don't have all the harmful effects on the planet, on the plants, and all the animals, including us. We really need to not spray Roundup or any other herbicide on the land. Just think of all the jobs we could create with just people being able to go out and hoe weeds every day on the farm during the growing season. Hey, it would give us money and we wouldn't be poisoning our land. So the problem is that when Monsanto invented this toxic chemical, they only studied it for months and not for years. How could they? They had to get it out on the market. So it was put out there with only months worth of animal studies, and I am not for animal studies. Short-term toxicity to this chemical is not, there doesn't seem to be any problem in the short term. However, it's the long term that's been studied now, and just since the 70s it turns out that there's an increase in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease with people that are heavily exposed to this chemical. And they talk about, this research was done, and they talk about how it's the chemical exposure came from their food day to day, either in their vegetables and fruits or in processed foods that used these fruits and vegetables to make the processed food. The second problem with this chemical is that the GMO crops now can withstand more doses of this chemical, so you're getting even more and more of these chemicals in you from what you're eating. If you don't eat organic. If you eat all organic, you don't really have to worry about this that much because your exposure is a lot less, especially when you're eating things that are broadleafed, like fruits, salad material, cabbage, that sort of thing, are the ones that get exposed to it the worst. Okay, so what else I did? I wanted to know whether there was a correlation to the healthiest nations on the planet versus the use of this chemical. What I found was that there's been quite a change in what the healthiest nations are. It used to be Japan and China. Now it isn't. Monaco is now the healthiest nation. Macau the second. Japan is now number 3, or Nihon. Singapore is number 4. Number 5 is San Marino. And number 6 is Hong Kong. Number 10 is Australia. The US isn't even on the top 10 healthiest nations. They're somewhere about in the middle. You know, the fix for this is so easy. Don't spray it in your yard. Don't use it in your food. In other words, use organic. Don't use GMOs. You have to go to an independent, small, cooperative store or farmer's market to get these foods that aren't chemically toxic. It's one of the easiest fixes people have, is stay away from corporate poisons. You know, that's the easiest way. I know most people don't care about what they eat or the condition they're in. So this is just for the people that do care. So I appreciate all the ups and downs in the comments on our last video. Good comments. Of course, my thing shows a certain amount of comments, and now I'll go to the comment section, and there's only 1 or 2 comments instead of all the ones that are supposedly there. So if I don't reply to you, that's why, because I just can't see your comments. So until next time.